All right, so today, in this live stream that I'm going to post to YouTube, we are going to watch this Arielle Scarcella video. From what I know about her, I've watched a couple of Noah's videos. I'm going to actually pull up Noah because Noah is far superior. I don't know his last name because I don't think that's the name of his channel. Noah. No offense. There we go. I couldn't think of his last name because I'm terrible. But she's done videos on Noah before. And Noah's done videos on her before, and that's actually where I found her for the first time, was a long time ago. He did videos on her because she was being very transphobic and supports JK Rowling and all those things. He did videos on her, and then she did videos on him. It was this whole thing. But that's actually where I found her. So I obviously don't watch her content. I really don't hear a lot about her too often. She really only comes across my feed when one of the trans people I follow make a video on her transphobia, because she is a Terf. She's a lesbian. And she is a transphobic lesbian. And so today we're going to watch this video that she just put out not too terribly long ago. I mean, it's September, so I'm a little late, but but it popped up on my recommended today because I've been watching some transphobic stuff recently. And so we're going to watch it now here today for the first time. And we're gonna see how it goes. So yeah, let's see how this goes.
Wish I knew before top surgery.
Oh, I can't wait for mine.
It makes you cooler, hotter, and smarter than everyone else.
Look at them. They're so happy. Well, she's not, but look at them. They look so happy. Now, I don't know if she's going to comment on this here, but I personally am very much looking forward to my top surgery. I can't wait to just walk around with my man titties out instead of my female titties out. I can't wait. I can't wait. It's going to be great. Why does she look so scandalized?
Did you know that being a lesbian makes you cooler, smarter, and hotter than...
I mean, it does make you cooler. I'm gonna be honest. Lesbians are great. Like, I don't know if you've ever spoken to a lesbian, preferably not this lesbian, but a lot of them are really cool people. I mean, a lot of them are transphobic also, but there are some that aren't, and they're really cool people. So, you know.
And everyone else.
You know what else it does? Well, at least for you, it's giving you a really weird fake tan, apparently. Like, what is this weird line across your face? Is that just your shit camera? Or is it that my computer has decided to put it... Oh, no, you only uploaded this video in 720p? Yikes.
Yes, today is a great day to stir up some bullshit. Just imagine how society would come for gays and lesbians. They already have. Remember that video that went viral a while back of the gays being like, "We're coming for your children." If we actually said something.
Arielle, I'm sorry, I can't take you seriously because this videos have been uploaded in 720p. And you didn't even try to fix it. Like, you have like 4 pixels on your face. That's it.
Something like this. Like, it's literally the idea of the...
She also needs to brush her hair.
Agenda. It's what kept us from getting our rights.
I mean, I need to brush mine too, but that's because mine just finished drying after a shower, and I just haven't had the opportunity to go brush it yet because I've been streaming for 3 hours now, but that's besides the point.
So long, and now these trans kids are saying shit like this, getting millions of views, getting told...
Trans what?
For so long, and now these trans kids are saying
Trans what? Trans kids?
shit like this, getting millions of views, getting total support, changing laws, all because society is afraid of being called a bigot. Absolutely insane.
And so, are we not allowed to chop our titties off if we want to? I'm confused. So am I not allowed to go chop off my titties willingly? And pay the money for it? What's wrong with that? Why can't I go get my tits chopped off? But it's fine for people to get, like, lip fillers and cosmetic surgery on their face and nose jobs. Why is that fine, but me getting my titties chopped off isn't? It's still cosmetic surgery. So if you're going to oppose top surgery, sorry, but you have to oppose every other cosmetic surgery, because otherwise it's just not fair, you know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna be transphobic towards trans women, you've got to also be transphobic towards trans men. It's called equality. Like, if you're gonna be homophobic towards gay men, you have to also be homophobic towards gay women. It's called being fair with your bigotry. It's okay, you know, it's fine.
I hope everyone knows that we need to protect the women and children has been used against marginalized people for most of human history.
It has, actually.
These comments upset me because it's anti-trans.
So we need to protect women and children is anti-trans. If trans...
No, that's not what that's not what they said. That's not what they said. They said it's been used against marginalized people for a long time. They didn't say it's transphobic, at least not yet. They said it's been used against marginalized people, which it has. When they were trying to legalize interracial marriages, it was, oh my God, the children, think about the children. Oh my God, the children. When they were trying to legalize gay marriage, it was, oh my God, the children, think about the children. And guess what? The children are fucking fine. The children are fucking fine. Like, and Arielle, this is something that's just common for Arielle. Arielle will listen to someone say something and then change what they said to something else. So let's re-listen to what this lovely human has said. First of all, gorgeous. The eye makeup is fantastic. The outfit is fantastic. Imagine being able to pull that off. I could never. And honestly, I don't give a fuck. If I had a daughter, I wouldn't mind this person being in the same restroom as them. I mean, maybe just because I'm not a transphobe, but, like, people go into restrooms to pee. That's what, or shit. That's what people go into restrooms to do. Those are the two genders. Peeing and shitting. Those are the two genders. Even that doesn't even make sense, because diarrhea exists. It's been used against marginalized people for most of human history. These comments upset me because they're anti-trans. This comment here, the one that says, this is who will be in the restroom with your daughters, that's what they're saying is anti-trans. Not we need to protect women and children. That's not what they said. They moved on to the next thing. So Arielle has now ignored the center part of that and said that this sentence, we need to protect the women and children, is transphobic. That's what Arielle has garnered from that. Is that what you garnered from that? Because that's not what I heard. I heard that this sentence has been used to marginalize people for a while. Period. These comments, meaning the one on the screen, this is who will be in the restrooms with your daughters, because it's anti-trans. See how these are different things?
But we need to protect women and children is anti-trans.
And it can be. It can be and has been used in a transphobic way, like you're about to.
Trans women are women. Listen to this logic. If trans women are women, and everyone in your leftist community keeps saying protect trans women and protect trans youth, isn't that going completely against what you just said?
No, it isn't. How did you get that? I know the tan mustache is bothering me. Like, I know my mustache might be offensive to men because it's a baby mustache, but, like, what is this weird tan line that's just, like, across your whole face? Like, what is this? I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a birthmark. I don't know, but, but that's not what they said. That's just not what they said. What? I'm sorry, I need to hear that again because I'm confused by what she just said. Okay, so we're gonna listen to this person's TikTok again. I'm non-binary. I hope that everyone knows that. I hope that everyone knows that we need to protect women and children. Has been used against marginalized people for most of human history. These comments, like the one above that says this is who will be in the restroom with your daughters, because it's anti-trans.
So we need to protect women and children is anti-trans.
That is not what they just said.
If trans women are women, listen to this logic. If trans women are women, and everyone in your leftist community keeps saying protect trans women and protect trans youth, isn't that going completely against what you just said? No.
What? I'm sorry. I don't understand. Am I stupid, chat, or does this also not make any sense? Does what she just said not make any sense, or am I stupid? Because I couldn't follow that logic. I couldn't follow it. I don't understand. I'm so confused. Okay, I'm sorry. I need to... Let's pull up a Word document. I don't understand at all. Let's pull up a Word document if my computer will work. It's not working. My computer is tired of this transphobia. This isn't working. Okay, I'll just get a piece of paper because my computer is so tired, it will not It will not allow me to... My computer won't. My computer just won't anymore. My computer has said, no thank you. I don't want this. Okay, let me go grab some paper. Hold on. Okay. We've got some paper. Because who needs Word? My computer will not work. So instead we're gonna use good old classic pen and paper. Actually, I'm gonna use a Sharpie so y'all can see it a little better on the screen. Okay. We're gonna try to math this out, you guys. We're gonna try to figure out what the fuck she's talking about. See if it makes any sense when we break it down into little chunks. Okay, let's go back to this. Okay, so this lovely human person. So we're gonna take what the TikTok says. I know you can't see what I'm writing, but I'll show you. What TikTok says, right? We got TikTok over here. And then we've got what Arielle, make sure I spell her name right, what Arielle says on the other side. So we've got the TikTok person versus what Arielle has translated it into. Okay, so the lovely non-binary human over here, who I'm just going to use they them pronouns for.
knows that we need to...
Okay, so the TikTok person said, quote, I'm gonna put it in shortened version so that I don't have to write out the whole fucking thing. Protect women and children.
Protect the women and children
Has been
used
against. I'm just gonna write people because I don't feel like writing marginalized for a long time.
marginalized people for most of human history.
Long time. These comments, these comments, and that's a separate thing. That's end of sentence. So protecting women and children has been used against marginalized people for a long time. Sentence over. Next topic. These comments like this is who will be in your restroom with your daughters. So I'm just gonna write the comment. Is anti-trans because it is. It just is. It's transphobic to say this is what's gonna be in the bathroom with your daughters. That's just rude. So that's a separate point. So we're gonna separate that because it's a separate point that they've made. The protecting women and children has been used against marginalized people for a long time, which, as I spoke about earlier, it has been. They used it against people of color when they were trying to legalize interracial marriage, when they were trying to get rid of segregation, and they also tried to use it when gay marriage was being legalized. That is just a fact. It is just a fact. So I don't know what you want from me. Okay. The anti-trans comment on the screen about this is who will be using the bathroom with your daughters. Not we need to protect trans women and children. That's not what the comment says. The comment says it's about this person using the restroom with their daughters.
Women and children is anti-trans.
Okay.
It's anti-trans.
So we need to protect women and children is anti-trans.
Okay, so what Arielle has said is we need to protect women and children is anti-trans. That's what Arielle took from that. So Arielle has taken the two things that this person has said and made them one. So we're already off to a bad start. Okay. So the logic Arielle is going to try to use to dispute this whole we need to protect women and children being anti-trans thing, which isn't even the point the TikTok person said in the first place, but Arielle's going to try to disprove that by saying...
If trans women are women, listen to
this
logic.
So
if trans women are women...
Trans women are women...
Your leftist community keeps saying protect trans women.
So protect trans women and children. Trans children as well. As we should.
And protect trans youth. Isn't that going completely against what you just said?
Not full screen. Scary.
I'm surprised. They have a little bit more to say, so let's...
Okay, so what has happened here is Arielle has misinterpreted what the TikTok person said and then made up a really ridiculous dispute against the thing she made up. Okay, so this is what happened. So Arielle watched this TikTok that said these things, Arielle took these two separate points and combined them to make this point in her head, and then made up another point that's anti-trans to dispute the point she made up. That's what happened just now, right? Let me know in the comments if I did that math correctly. I think I figured it out. So she made up a point based off what the TikTok person said, and then disputed her own point. I think that's what happened. Okay, let's move on.
Let's listen.
It strikes me as anti your own daughters, anti-young people, anti-women. If you are a young person, if you're a daughter, if you are a woman, would you do me a favor? Please let all of the men in your life know that you can take care of yourself.
In some instances,
Honestly,
yes,
yeah.
we can take care of ourselves. In others,
What was
no,
that? I'm sorry. I'm gonna be critiquing her editing here as well, because what the fuck was that?
in some instances, yes, we can take care of ourselves. In others, no. It's
What was that?
not weak to admit that you sometimes, as a woman or a child, need help or protection from men. In regards to mental
Yes.
health, isn't that what we also teach people? That it's not weak to
Yes, sometimes women need protection from men, but the problem is that this person you're reacting to is not a man. So, and arguably will need protection from men more than your daughters or a cis woman, because this is a non-binary person who is dressing femininely, but we can assume was born male. So those people tend to get murdered and hurt and injured and attacked by men far more often, like proportionally more often than any cis woman. So
admit that you sometimes, isn't that what we also teach people? That it's not weak to admit that you need help? So why wouldn't it
yes.
be the same in regards to physical strength? Admitting that males are usually
Okay, she's moved on to a different topic. She's moved on to a different thing that's not relevant to the comment that this TikTok person was responding to. So just keep that in mind.
way physically strong.
Also, what happened to her hair in the middle of this? Did it change? Yeah, it changed.
Isn't that what we also teach people? That it's not weak to admit that you need help? So why wouldn't it be the same in regards to physical strength? Admitting that males are usually way physically stronger than females isn't being a bad feminist.
No, it's not. No one said that.
It's being logical. And don't even start.
No one said it isn't. No one in this video so far has said that. Yes, on average, a cisgender male will be stronger than a cisgender female. On average. Now, at the same time, yeah, this is a gorgeous face I've paused on here. So sorry, Arielle. I'm not. But at the same time, I know cis women who could easily beat the shit out of some of the cis men that I know. Easily. So it's not a 100% thing, which I assume is what you just said, yes. But generally, most people can agree that your average cis man could beat up and to be physically stronger than your average cis woman. But that's not relevant right now, so how did we get here?
About how this person somehow even made protecting women and children into an anti-trans statement about trans.
But they didn't, though. You did that. As we discussed, as we mathed out, you did that, Arielle. You did that. You turned their statement into protect women and children being anti-trans. That's what you did. They didn't say that. You did. Okay, it's fine.
Trans and non-binary people. I know cis gay men aren't shit because they love to eat ass but are disgusted by men's pussies. Weak. Dear gays. Remember when we lesbians were speaking out against the homophobic nonsense and we were getting shit for not wanting to suck dick? And we had asked for your support and many of you completely ignored it. Well, now they're coming for you. Don't tell us we didn't warn you. There are lesbians
Stop. Pause. Oh, sorry. It didn't pause. Okay, now, I'm not going to sit here and say that it is okay to force someone to have sex with you when they don't want to, in any situation. Whether the reason is because they don't want to have sex with you because you still have your penis and you're a trans woman, or if you're a trans man and you still have a vagina. That is still assault, regardless of your sexual identity. Now, when you rule someone out, it's okay to have preferences. That is completely fine. It is okay to have sexual preferences. That is completely legitimate. And anyone who tells you it's not is wrong, in my opinion, okay? Now, there are some trans people out there who do believe it is their right to have sex with women because they are trans lesbians, even though they still have a penis. That is in no way correct and in no way true. That is, you are not obligated to anyone's body in any situation, regardless of the situation. So I will have to agree with you on that, Arielle. I completely agree with you on that. Yeah, I don't know what this is, so we're not talking about that point yet. However, I don't know what this tweet was. I mean, yeah, gay men aren't, most gay men, I would imagine, don't want to fuck pussies. That's why they're gay men. And because they're not attracted to women as well. But I would imagine there's a lot of gay men out there who don't want to be anywhere near a pussy. So I'm gonna go ahead and say I disagree with this tweet, because this tweet is gross and homophobic. Like, I don't have a penis yet. And I still have all the female parts I was born with. If I was dating, I'm not a gay person, I'm not a gay man, so I'm not attracted to men, so that wouldn't be an issue. But if I was dating a woman who didn't want to have sex with me because I don't have a penis yet, first of all, I can go get one and put it on my body. But second of all, I'm not going to be offended by that, because I don't like the fact that I have one either. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't... Chronic dick sucker, right? So I think I'm going to have to actually agree with Arielle on this point. Now, I'm not going to go through the way she explained her point, because I don't really care. But at the end of the day, I do think I agree with her statement here, because it is a problem. It's not as big as a problem as some people want to make it out to be, because a lot of trans women are very aware of the fact that they might be rejected because they still have a penis. A lot of them are aware of that. Some of them get really riled up about it. Some of them are very conscientious of the fact that not every woman, specifically gay trans women, aren't going, like, a lot of them are aware of it, and a lot of them are fine with the fact that not every lesbian is going to want to have sex with them while they still have their penis. Many are aware, some are unaware, so I'm gonna say I agree with this point and not go too far into it. So, okay, next thing.
Don't tell us we didn't warn you. There are lesbians who like men. There are lesbians who are men. There are lesbians who are straight. There are lesbians who are bisexual.
Actually, if you take into account asexuality, a lot of these things can be true. I don't know about the lesbians who like men part. A lesbian is a woman who likes a woman, so I don't know about that one. But personally, as a man, I feel like a lesbian sometimes, but that's just me. I don't know of any men who are lesbians, because lesbians are women who like women. There are some lesbians who identify as straight, but also as lesbians, and I don't personally understand that. There are some bisexual people who call themselves lesbians because they tend to lean towards women in terms of their attraction, but are technically attracted to both, but just identify more with the word lesbian than they do bisexual. So I don't know that I agree with this tweet, personally, since a lesbian is a woman who likes women. So by that definition, they can't be men, they can't be attracted to men, they can't be straight. I do think that, because I do know technically bisexual people who identify with the term lesbian or will describe themselves as lesbian because they are technically bisexual, but they really, really lean towards women and not men. So they just use lesbian because it's a simpler term. Like, there are non-binary people who actually identify as, like, a demigirl or a demiguy or whatever, but they go by non-binary because it's easier for the average person to understand. So I'll allow that one. And I guess that the straight one doesn't really make any sense to me, and the first two don't make sense at all because of the definition of the word lesbian. So I don't know what Arielle's going to say about it. I have a feeling what she's going to say about it, but I disagree with this tweet. So we'll see what Arielle has to say about it.
There are all of this and more. These people are also coming for our language. Like, what do these words, what do words even mean at this point, honestly? Thank God for the replies on this tweet. It's what gives me faith for about literally 5 minutes, because just you wait and see what else I've dug up for this terrible video. Also, this person who wrote this tweet identifies as a communist.
So, Avoid Creature. We love Avoid Creature, personally. then you have a demigod. Exactly. Main frontier is arrow ace. So, like I said, being ace can actually affect some of this. Like, I'm an asexual person, so I don't feel sexual attraction for people. That's what being asexual means. It means you don't experience sexual attraction. But I do find women attractive. I am not sexually attracted to women, but I do find them attractive. So that makes me a straight man. Gross. But even if I wasn't trans, I would still be part of the queer community because I am asexual. So sometimes sometimes they use the term lesbian to talk about romantic attraction. But they would still be straight in that they are sexually attracted to, like, let's say you are it gets complicated when you bring in romantic attraction and stuff like that. So let's say you are a cisgender woman, and you are sexually attracted to women, but romantically attracted to men, and that is the way you swing. So by that definition, you could use both terms, lesbian and straight. So you are sexually attracted to women, but would never settle down with one because you don't find them romantically attractive, but you would settle down with a man, you just wouldn't have sex with him because you are only romantically attracted. So in that specific, very rare situation, you could technically identify as both a lesbian and as a straight woman. Granted, that's going to be a very small minority of people, but it exists. So do with that what you will. But just the basic sentence, there are lesbians who are straight, is really vague and doesn't come into account for ace arrow people. But since the person posting this seems to identify in the arrow ace spectrum, I'll allow it, and I'll give them that leeway. If this had been a allosexual person, I would have not even thought about that argument to bring up, but when you bring up the arrow ace community, it makes things a little bit more complicated. So, but life is complicated, so, you know.
And uses it and its for their pronoun.
Which is valid.
So for its pronouns. Also autistic, ADHD, plural, Jewish, I don't even know. Void creature? What is it?
I love void creature. I feel like, I don't know if void creature is like an actual identity people identify with, or if it's just something they put in their bio to piss people like Arielle off, but I love it. A lot of non-binary people like the idea of being a void creature, especially ones that especially would identify with it pronouns, because they don't see themselves as like male or female or any of that gender stuff, so they're just kind of in the void, so they will call themselves a void creature. I don't know if that's how this person is using it or not, but I have met non-binary people who are like, yes, I am a void creature, that is how I feel, because I am in the void of gender. So I don't know if that's how this person is using it or not, but I enjoy the term void creature. I find it entertaining.
What does that even mean? Okay.
So arrow means aromantic, and ace means asexual. So it's the same thing as, so asexual means no sexual attraction, aromantic means no romantic attraction. So that's what those terms mean.
But he said, never seen someone so mad about being straight.
Well, you've never met me then, okay? Because quite frankly, I don't like the fact that I'm straight. I don't like that I've ended up being a straight man. It is not something I desired or wanted for myself, but alas, I am trans, and sadly, you don't get a decision in that. So, you know what? You've never met me, Mason, alright?
Somebody also said, there are vegans who like meat. There are vegans who are meat eaters.
There are. There are. But like, there are, though. There are, though. Like, you're not a full vegan if you eat meat, but there are plenty of vegans out there who identify as vegans, but they still eat, like, fish, or they'll eat chicken if they're with a group of people who have ordered a bucket of chicken, and they're like, okay, fine, I'll eat this. They do exist. Like, it kind of goes against the term of what vegan means, but there are forms of veganism. Like, you can be a vegan 99% of the time, and in that one situation where you went over to a friend's house and they didn't remember you were coming, so they didn't make a vegan meal option for you, and you just eat with the rest of the group because you're hungry, you're still a vegan. You're still allowed to exist. Like, you know what I mean?
There are vegans who are carnivores. There are vegans who are omnivores. There are all this and more. All of those are true except for the first one. There are tons of vegans that might like meat and just choose not to. Their diet just doesn't consist.
I'm sorry. Did she just say all of those are valid except the first one?
We're omnivores. There are all this and more. All of those are true except for the first one. There are tons of vegans that might like meat and just choose not to. Their diet just doesn't consist of it. The other sentences don't make sense at all.
Okay, so they're I'm sorry. I need to get that in writing. Sorry.
And just choose not. They're true except for the first one. There are tons of vegans that might like meat.
There are tons of vegans that might like meat.
And just choose not to. Their diet.
Just choose not to what? Eat it? Choose not to eat it? Is that what you mean? Choose not to eat it?
First one,
There are vegans who like meat, so that one would be the true one. All of these are true except the first one, but you just said the first one is true. Am I stupid? Or is that what she just said?
Who are omnivores. There are all this and more. All of those are true except for the first one. There are tons.
Did you just misspeak, Arielle? All of those are true except the first
of vegans
one.
that might like meat and just choose.
There are tons of vegans who might like meat but choose not to eat it. So the first one would be true. Right? Chat, am I understanding her correctly?
Those are true except for the first one. There are tons of vegans that might like meat and just choose not to. Their diet just doesn't consist of it. The other sentences don't make sense at all. Also important to note that we can't conflate sexual orientation with being a vegan. One is a choice and one isn't.
Yes, that is true. Being a vegan is a decision you make. Sometimes it's a decision you make for your health. Like there are some people with IBS that have chosen to go vegan because it helps with their chronic illness, and that was the only way to fix it. But it's at that point it is still a decision. So that I will agree with, absolutely. Being vegan is not equivalent to being queer because, like you said, being vegan is a choice, being queer is not.
Sexual orientation is not a choice, it's not a preference. Being a vegan 100% is a choice and a preference. But I do appreciate that person's tweet because he meant well. He was standing up against homophobia. Somebody wrote, hey, I'm curious to what your definition of lesbian actually is because from what you've listed, it seems like something under the bisexual umbrella, so I'm a bit confused. And they wrote in their response, the person that identifies as a communist, a lesbian is someone who identifies...
What does them identifying as a communist have to fucking do with anything? How is that relevant? Like...
is a lesbian, although it's more commonly defined as queer attraction to women.
Yes, when it comes... There are non-binary people who identify as lesbians. Max, for example, is a non-binary person who identifies as a lesbian. So, like... Queer attraction to women is a more inclusive way to do it because there are non-binary people who were born male but identify with the term lesbian because they are non-binary and they just were born as a dude and they are attracted to women. So it would be a little bit more of an umbrella term in that factor when it comes to the non-binary spectrum, but you know. I actually agree with the person who says it sounds like it belongs under the bi umbrella. It does. The way they were using it definitely sounds like it falls under bi. But I understand. I also agree with what Ultra has said here that another way to define lesbian is just queer attraction to women. So you know. So by that definition, a trans man could identify as a lesbian because they have a queer attraction to women and not just a standard attraction to women. It's still complicated and confusing and goes against the original definition of the word lesbian, but so does gay marriage and the term marriage. So, I mean, I think the fun thing about the queer community is you can kind of do what you want a lot of the time. Like there are some rules and things like that, but for the most part, you can kind of do what you want. And with the way language changes and evolves over time, it can change the way we use our words. So you know, I can't be trusting them commie allies.
Which works almost as well. No, a lesbian is not queer attraction to women. A lesbian is somebody who lives as a woman.
I'm sorry, do you speak for every lesbian, Arielle? I didn't realize you spoke for every lesbian. I don't speak for every trans man. So you don't speak for every lesbian, Arielle, okay?
Who has primary and secondary female sex characteristics, who is attracted to other women.
Not primary sex characteristics. You can have just secondary sex characteristics and still be a lesbian. Trans women are lesbians, so... I know you're a Terf, so you don't agree with that, but trans women can be lesbians. I actually know a couple, so... and they are far more feminine than you, my friends, so...
Women who live as women, who also have primary and secondary female sex.
Did what I just say, was that a little bit less phobic? Maybe a little bit, but it's not less phobic in this specific instance. It's Arielle phobic, so, or they're called geek.
Characteristics. I can't believe I have to say this, but no, a lesbian is also not a non-man attracted to other non-men.
It could be, actually, yeah. Because women are not men, and if a woman is attracted to a woman, then that other woman is also not a man, so... Yeah, a lesbian is a non-man attracted to a non-man. So, like, if you've got two non-binary people that are attracted to one another but identify with the term lesbian, even if they're born men, that doesn't really make a difference because they're not on that spectrum. But they identify with the term lesbian because that just fits the way they experience life better. You know what I mean? So, like, if you've got two non-binary people, let's just say, for instance, these two non-binary people tend to dress in a more feminine manner, but they use they, them pronouns, they could still identify as lesbians. Even if they dress more masculinely, they could still identify as a lesbian. That is, like I said, one of the perks of being queer. One of the cool things about the queer community is that the meaning of things can change depending on what context they're used in. Generally, lesbian means a woman who's attracted to a woman. But when you get into the people in the non-binary group, it gets a little bit more complicated. So for them, lesbian could mean non-man loving a non-man. So...
Also, can we please stop calling women non-men? It's fucking degrading. But wait!
Is it degrading?
There's more!
I mean, I'm not a woman, so I can't speak on that, but you know.
Feminism, because I get catcalled for wearing a skirt, too. And
I
somebody
mean,
wrote,
are they sexy, so I'm not surprised. It's still wrong, but I'm not surprised.
by who? My friend Mars wrote, pretty sure they're confusing getting made fun of with being catcalled. I love
Not
it.
necessarily.
Okay, this I have a problem with. It's a post on Reddit, and it's under male to female, trans, homosexual, apparently. Let's talk
So, a trans woman.
about this. It says, I just feel a lot of euphoria from someone calling me slut, whore, bitch, and the nickname for, I don't even know what that means, doesn't matter, slut, whore, and bitch. Okay.
Aurelian. Orlin. I mean, before I realized I was a dude, the word dyke, which is for a lot of people is still considered a slur for queer women, made me feel really euphoric. I really enjoyed it a lot. There's not really equivalents of this for men that I can really think of, but I could totally see how that would make you feel really euphoric. Because like I said, slut, whore, and bitch more so, or bitch less so than whore and slut. You rarely hear men called whores or sluts. They're usually called man whores or man sluts. So I could totally see how those words could make a trans woman feel very euphoric. Because if they were still not passing as female, they probably wouldn't get called those words. Because there are different forms of them for men. So I can absolutely understand how that could make someone feel euphoric. Like, euphoria is a really weird thing. Like me getting super excited about being called a dyke, even though it was used towards me in a slurred way. Some people identify as a dyke, but it was thrown at me in a slur type format. Just like the word slut, whore, and bitch often can be thrown at you as in a slurry type fashion, instead of a like, come on, whore, you know, like some people call each other whore as like a fun thing, but dyke, D-Y-K-E, it is a slur for lesbians more often than not, usually masculine lesbians. But the day I got called a dyke was one of the best days of my life because I was being perceived as a masculine woman, which at the time was the closest I'd gotten to man ever, and I didn't know I was a dude yet, so it makes a lot of sense now that made me super euphoric. So this, I can totally get this. Like, euphoria and dysphoria are really bizarre things that if you've never experienced them, there's not really a way to explain to you what it feels like. And it's very much a trans experience type thing for euphoria and dysphoria. Euphoria different from, like, the show Euphoria, but, like, the euphoria you get when you do drugs. Those are different feelings as well. And so, like, I could totally get this. This totally makes sense to me, because I've been in a similar situation.
Okay, I had a trans woman ex-friend of mine who actually told me something
Oh, I wonder why she's your ex-friend, Arielle.
similar. She had said that when somebody called her a bitch, it was when she finally knew that she was passing as a woman in society, right? It
What does that
validated
mean?
her gender identity, it validated her in society and people seeing her as the gender that she was. And while
It's more than satisfaction, Jimmy. I'm not going to try to explain it to you. I'm not going to try to explain to you what dysphoria and euphoria feel like. Satisfaction may feel the closest to you, but it's different for everyone, and it's very uniquely a trans thing.
I know it's important for these people to feel good in their own bodies and have society see them as
But is she gonna say that's misogynistic? Like, that's what the person who wrote the comment said,
where they see
so.
themselves. Can we talk about how these are derogatory terms? And it's also kind of fetishy. Almost being degraded is turning them on.
It's not turning them on. That's not what euphoria is, Arielle. That's not what euphoria is. It's not getting turned on. That also they mentioned in their comment. How many of y'all feel euphoric misogyny? They mentioned that it's misogyny. Like, Arielle, read the post that you're talking about. Come on.
Gender identity. It's important for these people as the way they almost being degraded is turning them on.
That's not what euphoria is. As I've said, being turned on is not what euphoria is.
This is what they think being a woman is.
It kind of is. It kind of is. If you've never been called a slut or a whore in your life, and you are what some would call a promiscuous woman, then, or you dress in a way that's slutty based on societal standards, which I still think is stupid, but whatever. If you are a woman who wears semi-revealing clothing, and you've never been called a slut or a whore before, then you're in the minority there, my dear. Like, I've been called a slut and a whore before, and you saw how I dressed when I used to think I was a girl. I didn't dress slutty or hoary at all, the fuck? But I still got called that. Like, it's very much fundamentally a part of the female experience, in my opinion. So, Arielle, I don't know what life you've been living, but, exactly. Being misgendered feels far worse than being slurred at for the gender you actually are. So, being called a whore when you identify as a woman is gonna feel so much better than being called a man, because you actually fall into the category of the people who are generally called whores. I'm curious if Max feels the same way, because Max was also, Max is also AFAB like I am, and I wonder how Max feels. I would like to get a non-binary's perspective on this, so I'll be right back. Be right back. Hey, Max. No, not as a Christian this time. Just as an AFAB envy. So I'm watching this Arielle video, and we got this comment that she is reacting to.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say, a few trans women, would calling them this make them euphoric?
Yes.
Okay, would you consider being called these things an exclusively female experience and an inherent part of living as a female? Especially the first two?
I mean, I would
Have you ever been called? You grew up in a very Christian place where people dress very modestly. Do you know people who dress modestly that were called those things and are women?
I do.
I was called those things, and you know how I dressed when I was a woman.
Yes.
I'm sure you've probably been called that before, even though you never dressed like those things.
I've been called a bitch, but not a slut.
Well, everyone's
or
been called a
whore.
bitch. Bitch isn't as feminine as it sounds, but
Yeah.
because men can be bitches. But like,
No,
would you say that being called a slut and a whore is a very intrinsic part of being a female?
I would say so.
Yeah, Arielle doesn't seem to think so for some reason, even though she is very much an asshole and a bitch. So
But do men get called... when a man gets called a slut or a whore
he
or
gets
a bitch,
called a man whore.
it's not the same. Yes, he's a man whore.
I've never really heard a man be called a whore. I've only ever been called... the only time I've ever heard a man be called a whore is a gay man to another gay man.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only time I've ever heard it used that way. Every time it's like a man talking to a man and they're both straight, it's always like a man whore. Or a woman talking about a man and they're all straight. It's a man whore or a man slut. It's never just whore or slut, because whore and slut are generally geared towards women. They're generally not necessarily slurs, but they're very derogatory terms for women.
Mm-hmm.
But Arielle doesn't seem to think that it's a very womanly thing to be called that.
It's an incredibly womanly thing.
Yeah, and
that.
like when I was called a dyke?
Mm-hmm.
Remember how fucking happy that made me?
You were amazingly
It
happy.
still makes me happy thinking about it.
Like, you were all smiles the rest of the day.
Like, for weeks.
And a week.
For
And
weeks, it was
one-
all I could talk about. I was so excited and happy because I was like, I'm being recognized as masculine. It's happening. Like, yeah, it's not really a term you hear used for men. So I just wanted a perspective other than mine, because you still present femininely and could still be called those things in a day-to-day life. Whereas I have never been able to be called that, because I never have dressed in a way that would insinuate that at all, and I don't present femininely at all anymore.
Are you saying you've never been called those things?
Oh no, I've been called a slut
Okay.
and a whore.
You're just saying you've never dressed like...
I've never dressed in a way that
quote
would...
unquote like a slut.
Yeah, I've never dressed in a way that would generally, like, incur those types of words upon me. Like, people who dress in a more revealing manner get called that far more often than someone who dresses like a goddamn Mormon. So, you know, and that's been my entire life, so... So I just wanted a secondary perspective. So thank you for your perspective, Max.
You're welcome.
You can say hello if you would like to.
Hello.
Oh.
What?
I mean, on camera.
With my face? Hello.
Yes. Thank you for your terms. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Uh-huh.
Okay. There we go. We got a secondary opinion. Max knows a number of trans women as well, different trans women from me, and so I figured I would get their perspective as well. Okay, we can...
Being degraded is turning them on. This is what they
It's not what
think
euphoria
being
is.
a woman is.
It kind of is.
Apparently it happens to trans women when they start getting catcalled as well. Not like the person that was in the previous.
Mm-hmm. Getting catcalled as a trans woman, I would imagine, would be super euphoria-inducing. Because as a trans man, when I stopped getting hit on by men at the grocery store, it was like, this is amazing. Because that's not really something that happens to men who work in retail. They've very, very, very rarely get hit on by other men. It's a very rare thing. Whereas any woman who has ever worked in retail will tell you they have been hit on by a creepy old man before. It happens to all of us. Every single one of us who has ever lived as a woman and worked in retail, it's happened.
Slide, but you know, I would consider it somewhat to be a fetish because it's something
Well, trans women are often fetishized, so but that's not relevant to the situation.
that these people are desiring, even though it's a negative.
Well, when you transition, you get the good with the bad. That's part of it. You get all the good parts of being a woman, and you get all the bad parts of being a woman, outside of bleeding, because you have to have specific organs for that. Whereas, like, me, I get all the good parts of being a guy, but I also get all the bad parts of being a guy, like being sweaty all the time. Like right now, I am sweaty for no reason. Like, you get all the good and you get all the bad, and all of it makes you euphoric. There are a lot of trans men that I know that them being sweaty all the time is actually euphoria-inducing for them, because they weren't like that when they were living as a woman. So the good and the bad can bring euphoria. Like, you know what I mean? Like, all of it can bring that. But obviously, you're not trans, so you wouldn't know what that's like. And you're also a transphobe, so that doesn't help either.
Gay men would rather shove an eggplant up their asshole than have sex with trans masculine people. And personally, I hope those eggplants get them sent to the ER.
I mean, it's true. There are a lot of transphobic gay men out there. Now, like I said earlier, I do not think it is okay to force someone to have a romantic or sexual encounter with you if they are not comfortable with it. That is not okay. That is not okay. Yeah, I figured out recently that's called an aubergine. Or no. Why did I just say it wrong? I've heard them say it 1,000 times in Rolly and Luxeria's video. Why can I not say it? An aubergine? Whatever it is. I think it's so interesting that y'all call it a different thing. I want to watch Sex into the ER again. But it can be transphobic sometimes. There are certain situations, like refusing to date trans women strictly because they're trans women and not because of their penis, is transphobic. Refusing to date trans men strictly because they're trans men and not because of their vagina is transphobic. Having sexual preferences is not inherently transphobic. An aubergine. Thank you. I don't know why it was blanking in my head just then. Thank you. So, like, there is a fine line between transphobia and just straight up being rude. So, like, I find this funny because this is definitely a thing that gay trans men have come across and have struggled with. But lots of times, if they don't want to have sex with you, you're not going to want to have sex with them. So, like, you know what I mean?
I've heard of plenty of gay men shoving way more things up their ass than just an eggplant. Still doesn't mean that they need to like female genitalia, though. I mean,
no, it doesn't.
Sexual orientation is defined by...
But guess what? Female bodies have assholes too. So you know what? Like,
what people find sexually attractive in other people, not what they do with their own bodies. It's not what we put in our own bodies or what body parts we put in other people's bodies. It's how we are attracted to those other people's bodies, if we are sexually attracted to them. As a straight man, is being attracted to lesbians a fetish or a deeper psychological...
I hate this one because I, as a former lesbian, still find lesbians and masculine women more attractive than straight women. Maybe it's because I find being attracted to men gross. So dating a woman who is not also attracted to women feels weird to me. But I think that for me is a personal issue. It is usually a fetish for a cis straight man to be attracted to lesbians and find lesbian sex attractive. That is usually generally a fetish. I'm just weird and need psychological help, so that's a me thing. That's a me problem. I need therapy for that. Not. That's a me issue. But generally, yes, straight men do lots of times fetishize lesbians, and it is a big problem, and that's what lesbian porn is. Lesbian porn is not for lesbians, let me tell you that. It is for cis straight men. That is who it's for. It is not for lesbians, and I'm sure she's probably going to say the same thing.
Issue. And I'm not giving this person hate, let me be clear, because they are a viewer of these videos and they're cool.
Oh, so they're watching my videos, so I'm not going to hate on them. The fuck?
But I do think it's a really interesting question, and I didn't know what other video to put it in.
Yes, that's got to be what it is, straight, because I was a lesbian for so long that my brain just hasn't transitioned out of it yet, out of lesbian attraction. I think it's also because I'm asexual, so like I don't look at women and go, I want to fuck that. That's not how my brain works, which it's kind of stereotypical to say that's how a man's brain works, but that is generally how a man's brain works. But your average allosexual man, that's how it's going to work. So like for me, it's just different. I think partially because of the asexuality and partially because I lived as a lesbian for such a long time. You know what I mean? Lesbians, I think, show a different side of themselves. Anyone I have fancied has usually turned out to be a lesbian, but that's my theory, though.
It's this. My thoughts are that there's no true way to be attracted to lesbians, just like there's no true way to be attracted to straight women. You're attracted to characteristics of a person, sex characteristics, mannerisms, their voice, their smell, the way they carry themselves. How could you be attracted to something that could be impossible to know without actually asking someone? If what you really mean to say is that you're attracted to masculine women, that's not a fetish, that's not weird, that's normal. There are plenty of straight men that are attracted to butch women, more masculine presenting women, like just like there are plenty of straight women who are attracted to more effeminate men. That's not an issue or a fetish. But if what you're saying is when you find out that someone is a lesbian and then you are suddenly attracted to them, that is a fetish. I don't know if that would be considered like a cuckold.
Look at us, Arielle, look at us. We fundamentally disagree on basically everything. But I've got to agree with you on this one.
Thing.
Well, unless you say something else here that's about to fuck us over. But for now.
Like the idea that you want to be with somebody and you can't have them and you want to watch, that's definitely fetishy in my opinion. Saving the worst for last.
Ooh, let's see what it is. What's the worst?
Ooh, girl, this is 100% this is the worst one. Tell me you're a leftist without telling me you're a leftist. See that smug look on their faces every time? It has nothing to do
smug
with
look. They just look happy.
Being gay. It has everything to do with being entitled, smug little shits that have that look.
It's quite challenging to LGBT people.
They just look happy to be them. And they look fantastic also. I wish I could rock that type of look. I would look like a fucking idiot if I cut my hair like that. But they actually look really fucking good. I love fight the system. Oh, I love that. I love that. I love that. Are you saying that there isn't a need for any separate organizations for LGBT sexualities when here is a trans campaigner who says homosexuality doesn't really exist? Where are they saying that?
Gender is on a spectrum, then homosexuality doesn't really exist because it can only exist in a binary.
If gender is on a spectrum...
I mean, hold on, let me hear what they said again because I did pause it in the middle, so...
With being entitled, smug, little shit.
And that's not what you are, Arielle? An entitled, smug little shit? Is that not what you are? Sorry, I just misread that situation. My apologies.
Have that look.
It's quite challenging to LGBT people because if gender is on a spectrum, then homosexuality doesn't really exist.
See, I don't like the term LGBT people. That excludes me from the conversation, and the term is LGBT, but I understand that here they're talking about specifically lesbian, gay, and bisexual people, because trans people exist makes the term homosexuality a little bit more difficult because non-binary people exist. It does make things more complicated, but it doesn't mean homosexuality doesn't exist because there are people who are on the binary who might not find a non-binary person attractive and may not be attracted to them physically or sexually or whatever. So I don't agree with the idea that homosexuality doesn't exist just because gender isn't actually binary, but some people hold that belief and they're allowed to believe that.
Because it can only exist in a binary.
If gender is on a spectrum, homosexuality doesn't really exist. This person literally just said that homosexuality doesn't exist.
If gender is on a spectrum.
This became so woke that we cured homosexuality.
We cured it, guys. We did it. We cured it. Max, we cured the homos.
Simply stating that it doesn't even exist in the first place. It's not even a real thing. Cured it. Done. Tell the religious people we have figured out the way to find Jesus.
We did it, guys.
I can't believe that it is 2021 and people within the LGBT community are saying that homosexuality doesn't exist.
She said, or they said, I don't know their pronouns, so I'm going to use they said that if gender is on a binary, the term homosexuality doesn't make sense. Some case scenarios, that wouldn't work. And I know there's a lot of non-binary people that struggle with terms like lesbian, bi, straight. They struggle with those terms because it doesn't really match them, because they aren't a woman or they aren't a man. And so being attracted to people who are women or men or also non-binary, those terms aren't inclusive of the non-binary. So some people in the non-binary group, I know way too many non-binary people, like so many. I don't know how I come across so many of them. But I know a lot of them who struggle with those terms because those terms are so rooted in the binary system. So I can understand where this person is coming from, but it is mildly offensive to say that just because gender is a binary, that being a homo isn't a thing. Because there are plenty of people who do exist in the binary that are homosexual. So I don't agree with it, but I understand it, if that makes any sense. Like, I can understand the logic. Like I mentioned in my stream earlier today, before I started recording this, I understand where that logic is coming from, but I don't personally agree with it. Like, I get it, but I don't agree with it, if that makes sense. If that makes sense to you.
I'm done. I'm sweating. I can no longer take.
I'm also sweaty. Look at us. We're relating. Look at us, Arielle. I am also sweaty.
Please give this video a thumbs up if you want me to do
that too. Do that to me. Thank you.
Ridiculous leftists, because not everybody in the LGBT community thinks this way, honestly.
Oh yes, Jesus was trans. I love that theory. It makes me happy. Alrighty, that's enough of her. We've been at this for an hour, but we actually agreed on a couple things, which I'm kind of surprised by. I'm also not surprised by the fact that Arielle came up with her own. She decided to put words in people's mouths. I'm not surprised by that. She kind of does that a lot. But I hope you enjoyed this really long video if you watched the whole thing. I appreciate it. I didn't mean for it to be this long, but alas, here we are. I'm very good at rambling, if you haven't noticed. If you want more of this, let me know. I am working on a Caitlin Bennett video right now. That's what I was actually working on during the earlier stream during the day. I hope to have that out next week, and I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you so much for joining me. If you want me to react to some more Arielle videos, you can leave those in the comments down below. Then I'll look into that and see if maybe I can find a time to do that. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you very much. Hit that subscribe button, like the video, share the video, do all you want to do. Check me out on all the other social medias down below. Whatever you want. It's your life. Do what you want to. And until next time, you do you. Oh, goodbye.